This show is presented by Manscaped. Sign up for 20% off manscaped.com using the code DANGLE.
The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
Jesse and I are wearing our colors today.
Yeah.
Jesse's got his Rams jersey on. I got my McLaren t-shirt on.
Team McLaren.
Rams are playing obviously in the Super Bowl, and I actually say I can't cheer for the Bengals because I'm a Steelers fan. So go Rams. Oh. Also, I want Matt Stafford to get the due that he deserves. He played for the shitty Detroit Lions for 10 years, put up great numbers anyway, and they never traded him to somewhere where he could win until now. So this is great.
That's the thing about Matt Stafford, you know.
And here's another thing Steve knows a whole lot about: Formula One.
Yeah.
McLaren is putting out their new car today because they've changed up all the regulations. So I got my McLaren gear on because I'm a big McLaren guy.
Who are the two drivers now?
Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo.
Yes.
Yeah. So
those are real names.
Have you not seen Drive to Survive yet?
No.
Why have you not watched that?
I don't.
How many times do we have to tell you?
Yeah. You're gonna really like it.
I usually, you know what? My wife has a trustworthy opinion about what to watch on like Netflix and stuff. And her current show is Yellow Jackets. And I got to say, she was wrong.
Yeah, that one doesn't do it for me.
I don't know the name of the actress, but she was in Castle Rock, and this is just Castle Rock with high school students. Two shows that start good and end up, by the end of the season, you're like, oh, I watched a stupid show, and I'm not going to continue.
Castle Rock's one of the worst shows I've ever seen.
It was one of the biggest disappointments I've seen on TV.
And it started so great.
So why haven't you given Drive to Survive a shot?
When everybody says it's good.
Okay, how many
Everybody's
seasons in are
telling
we?
you. 3.
It's like
Too late.
No, it's
Steve,
really
it's a
not.
Netflix show.
Too late.
There's also not a lot of episodes. It's not like it's 20 episodes a season.
How many episodes?
Like 8?
10 maybe
Yeah.
max.
Okay, that's more manageable.
It also started 3 years
Just
ago.
watch it. Simply watch.
Stop bullying me.
It's 10 times what
I'm gonna mute you.
It's 10 times what the Leafs thing was because you get like real access.
Oh.
Yeah. Or at least to certain teams. So like in the first season, you don't see Ferrari, you don't see Mercedes, you don't see. I don't even think you see McLaren. It's McLaren, Renault, and
but barely.
Yeah, McLaren, Renault, and like Haas, and Force India, and then the next season, because it took off, they're like, okay, fine, we'll include Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen and whatever, and then
I know those names.
Do you? Okay,
legitimately, I know those names.
I got my sister into it like a couple months ago, and that's exactly how I set it up. I was like, the first season, you're seeing all the secondary teams. You're seeing like the middle of the pack. And then when they get to the second season, that's the stuff I really care about because you're seeing the winners.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see the big stars and behind the scenes in that aspect, and that's where it really picks up in the second season.
And what's
the first
fun about
season's really good too.
I mean, Formula One's cool. I mean, this season was one of the most dramatic and such a terrible, disappointing ending. With the way that the Michael Massey, the guy that runs the track, like you want to talk about terrible officiating. Formula One.
This to me.
Yeah. And it's funny because half the drivers have come out for and half the drivers have come out against, so that's kind of fun too.
You for it or again it?
For it again it. And the other thing is now they have a salary cap, so they didn't have that before. So you'd have Mercedes and Ferrari spending $600-700 million on their cars, and then you'd have like Williams coming along with $50 million, and it was impossible for them to compete. So now they've got a set amount of money that they can all spend and a completely new car. Whoa. So it's going to throw everything in. I think Lewis Hamilton and Verstappen will probably be the best two at the end of the season, but it's going to be a rematch, and I'm so excited for it. So, and the thing is, with Formula One, sometimes who finishes 3rd, 4th, and 5th is the more exciting race. Like, that's what's more exciting at the end of the season. It's like, wow, fight for 3rd is going to be insane.
Yeah?
Yes.
Well, it's podium, right?
Well, but even sometimes the fight for 6th is crazy because they look at it like this. You got your top of the field, your top 4 teams, or your top 4 drivers, and then you've got your mid-pack, which are the next 3 teams, and then there's like the bottom feeders, so the bottom 3.
Oh, I think I have a wrestling analogy that might help me understand
Please,
this.
yes.
Is it like the Intercontinental title?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
I nailed it.
And you're kind of excited about that, right? Because that's the warm-up to the big finale, right?
Oh, I love the Intercontinental title.
It's a real mouthful.
saying it staccato. Intercontinental.
Jesse, what kind of odds are you giving the Rams this weekend?
Oh, so
That's the Super Bowl. Yeah.
to note the jersey I'm wearing, it is a St. Louis Rams jersey. And I had a long thing since they took my team away from St. Louis that I wouldn't cheer for the LA Rams ever. I cheered for the Patriots when it was Patriots-Rams Super Bowl a couple of years ago. But I've come around. This Rams team is very fun. They have a lot of superstars that I want to see win. Odell.
And for the audience, who are some of them?
Odell, Von Miller.
Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Cooper Kupp is the best wide receiver I've ever watched in my entire life. He's crazy. So I'm rooting for the Rams this weekend. I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to win. That's my pick. Who are you rooting for, Steve?
Oh, man. Well, there's two teams, right? So it's the Rams and also the Bengals. One of them looks like a tiger.
Uh-huh. You would be a big Joey Burrow fan.
Yeah, you would.
You would love Joey Burrow.
You would.
Because he appears to be Penguin's Kessel, where he's just a guy who's an athlete but successful. Like he's
no, because Burrow likes the spotlight.
Oh,
and
really?
he dresses like it too.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
It's cool,
That is
doesn't
very
give
clear.
a fuck. Trying to think of the hockey equivalent because I need that.
There really isn't.
No,
Like
No.
we talk about superstars and you guys touched on it on Agent Provocateur actually.
Yeah.
On the NHL not creating mega superstars, and Joey Burrow is a superstar that the NHL doesn't have.
and also, isn't he like 23?
He's 2 years out of college.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is just me and Alan on this episode, and I think you're not going to want to miss it because we talk about the Coyotes. We talk about the fact that since Gary Bettman has taken over, there have been no crossover mega superstars like since Wayne Gretzky, and it's true.
Yeah.
And don't tell me Sidney Crosby is on the same level Wayne
Not
Gretzky
even
was, because he's not even close.
Not even close.
And then we talk about how to become an agent in the NHL, and it's a 2-part series. So we're gonna have a second part next week, but we're gonna play a clip from that in just a second. Anyway, so Jesse, do you think it'll be Rams in a walk? Do you think it'll be a close game?
I think they win by a touchdown.
A touchdown.
Yeah, I think because the line right now is Rams minus 4.5. You get 3.5 some places, and I think they'll cover that spread. So I'm looking at Rams by a touchdown.
And I'm looking at McLaren's Twitter account because I want to see what the new car looks like. Because they got the new colors on there.
Ooh, I hope it's orange.
It will be orange.
It will
That's
be
the company
orange.
colors. I'm also just a big fan of McLaren cars. Like whenever I see one on the street, I go, ooh.
The
Sexy.
Weekend has the best McLaren I've seen.
Does he have the Senna?
I don't know
The
which one it is.
$1.5 million. So they have a McLaren called the Senna, which is after Ayrton Senna, who's a racer. If the Weekend's McLaren is the same one,
Is that the CX-9?
You can't just make up letters.
Oh, he's got a P1.
That's a Mazda.
Oh yes,
Isn't it awesome?
it's stunning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and he's got the right color on it. That dark
Yeah.
red. Oh yeah.
Here, let me
Jeez.
put it on the screen.
So you see why I love these cars? They're stunning. Everything's cool about them. Everything about these cars is cool. Oh, that's the one for Starboy. Okay. Yeah.
It looks like a toy.
Like
It
that's
is.
the whole thing, right? This $1 million car just looks like a thing when you're 5 years old and you're playing a little die-cast car, and now it's real, and you're sitting there and you're driving your car that goes really fast. It's a lot of fun.
That's my dream actually, is to
Get a McLaren.
yeah, that's my dream. I know you don't care about cars, but that's my
Drive
one.
it with the Weekend.
I would love to have a McLaren.
You should race the
I'd
Weekend.
be like, I'm gonna go to the Weekend's house. We're gonna sit in Toronto traffic and race. Can't wait. It'd be super. Now I do want to start the show with this because we talked a lot about. We've got Montreal coming up. Don't worry, we'll discuss the head coaching change in Montreal.
Oh, yeah, that
but we
happened.
discussed at length. Yeah.
Before we do that, last thing,
Oh yes.
we
Please
got
go.
We got one note. Steve, ask me if you want to buy a Dangle Navy jersey, right?
Whoa.
They came out last night on the mailing list. Ask me if you can get one.
Yeah, can I get a Dangle Navy jersey?
No! Thank you, everyone. They sold out. I'm not joking. So I put out the email list last night. The blast to everybody that Dangle Navy jersey is now available. And then I was going to come on the show and plug in and be like,
And
hey,
they're gone.
the mailing list got it first and you can get a couple left. But no, there's none left. Poof. We have limited quantity because they are custom made. When you buy a Dangle Navy jersey, when you go on the website and you get your jersey, you put in your own name and your own number, and then we get them hand stitched. It's like a guy in Kitchener, jersey shop in Kitchener. They do a fantastic job, and we get them over to you. It takes about 7 weeks, but like you missed out if you didn't get one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. If you're expecting it to be Amazon overnighted to you, by the way, there's a few people that have been like, excuse me, it's taken a long time to get my garments. And I understand that, but it's like, we're a small business and we have to tap on other small businesses to get our clothes
We
out. So
pre-order these jerseys. We get them hand stitched. We box them ourselves, and we have custom packaging now. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we ship them out to you. But yeah, just thank you to everyone who purchased one overnight, I guess, because they're all gone.
Hey, okay, you don't have to say the number out loud. Is that the number?
No.
Is it bigger or smaller than that number?
It's 3 times that.
The amount of jerseys.
Yeah.
wow. I can't wait. I can't wait to do an event and see people show up in them. That's the whole point.
Right. Well, I don't know. I got to check the addresses, but hopefully a lot in the Toronto area.
Yeah.
No. I hope we sold a lot wherever they moved the draft.
Because the first round of jerseys, I think there was only like a handful in the GTA. Like a lot of our shipping went out to the US majority, and then a whole bunch to Europe, and then like 2 to Australia. That took a while, but
that many?
Yeah.
Bigger?
Yeah. We'll see.
Oh my god.
Anyways.
Okay. Wow.
Good times. Thank you. I just wanted to note that off the top of the show. We'll have a 3rd edition. I don't know, maybe in the summertime. We'll see.
Yeah. Cool.
I like that. I'm into it. Now,
no. Custom Dangle Navy ripped sleeves jersey for the summer. Guns out. That's what we're doing.
Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah.
It's going to be a Machine Gun Kelly look or something?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Listen.
Also, I'm going to grow 5 inches.
Yeah, it works for him.
And dye my hair blonde.
If you're the 1% of the 1% who are Jesse Tall, then that look works for you. So I want to play this clip from Agent Provocateur, which, by the way, it's a 3-podcast day. AP, Steve Dangle Podcast, and CJ Show coming out today. It's not regular that a Friday is a 3-podcast day, but hey, here we are.
I'm extremely jacked for CJ Show.
Yeah.
Heavy news.
There's some stuff. Now, I want to talk to you about, I asked Alan, like, before the show yesterday, I'm like, is it possible to talk about the Coyotes thing? And he's like, oh yeah, no problem. And I was shocked by what he said.
Interesting.
He said life support.
Yes.
No, but like, he's associated with the league. You know what I mean?
Alan?
Yeah. I mean, he works in the league with the players and the teams.
Yeah.
And he said it. You never hear somebody but he said, listen, there's a big problem here, and we're going to go to minute 4, but it's the first thing we talk about off the top of the show in Agent Provocateur. Have a listen to what Alan has to say. We'll just sit back for a minute. It's interesting.
What I want to know is, how do you go into ASU without a firm deal to build the rink in Tempe? Right? So otherwise, you're moving the team into a new location, which by all accounts have to be temporary. Mm-hmm. And if the Tempe deal falls through, and there's no guarantees at all that deal is actually going to happen and come to fruition, then what? I think that right now, the reality of the situation is the Coyotes in Phoenix are on life support. We're at the end of the road. This is the final option, putting them into ASU on a temporary, 3 to 4 year basis. If the Tempe deal doesn't work, I think ultimately the NHL has to look at other locations, other cities to move the team.
All right, we'll stop it there. So our first show of this show ever, I asked you in 2013, how are the Coyotes still in Phoenix or Arizona? Here we are. We're 9 years later, 2022. And you're hearing that. Do we believe that it is finally the end? Maybe. And I'm not saying this because I want to take the team away from the fans. And I say this on the episode. If you're a fan of the Coyotes, you are the best kind of fan in the world because they've made it awfully hard on you.
Oh, yeah. Which building do you show up to? Like, Gary Bettman will keep something alive out of spite. And he's doing it. I don't understand the business sense. I don't understand who on earth is going to sign there. Because remember, they're going to have like a hell trip to start next season. And then to explain that, ASU will not be renovated to NHL standards in time for the beginning of next season. So they're going to have to go on the road until like, I don't know.
December is what we're hearing right now.
Yeah, like American Thanksgiving, beginning of December, something like that. I think American Thanksgiving would be optimistic. Who on God's green earth is going to sign there? And on the way here, I was listening to 32 Thoughts. Jeff Merrick brought up the point. There's revenue sharing in the NHL. They should be disqualified.
Well, Alan actually gets into that, into the details on that. And he talks about, so first off, so here's where Gary's got himself hemmed in. And I don't want to give away too much because it's really, really interesting to hear Alan talk about it. But he's got himself hemmed in on both sides. Because on one side, he's got the players who are like, okay, what the fuck? We're putting all this money into escrow. And you got a 32nd team here that objectively cannot make money, is going to lose money, and is going to lose more money probably than they ever have before. And there's no possible way, even if they go to the Stanley Cup final, that they can make it back. That's not fair. That's not in keeping with the agreement. Then you got the owners. Now imagine you're Jeremy Jacobs, you're Larry Tannenbaum, you're James Dolan. So New York, Boston, Toronto, you're Philadelphia's ownership. You are, the Edmonton Oilers ownership, any of the California teams. You are the have teams. There's the have teams and the have not teams. The have teams support the have not teams. If I'm at the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm going, I don't give a shit about this deal that we used to have in place for revenue share. If you want a team that's going to play in front of 3,200 people maximum every single night with no boxes, no corporate sponsors, and no deal, and potentially do that for 3.5, 4 more years? Because the Tempe deal's not done, and they haven't broken ground, and it's going to take 3.5 to 4 years to do it.
Also, they have, I think, 6 luxury suites. So.
6 luxury suites.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can't believe it's that many.
There you go. Hey, I'm glad you know that. Look at this. If I'm an owner, I'm like, I'm not participating in that. I'm not putting that team on life support. Why would I support that? What does that do for me?
Well,
and by the way, the ESPN and TNT deals are not contingent on the Coyotes being in Arizona. So the whole thing about the TV rights deals, which used to be the case, which is why they kept them there, is no longer a factor.
So what are they doing? And more and more players are coming out of Arizona. Austin Matthews, most notably. Another Leaf prospect, Matthew Nyes, who's at the Olympics representing the United States right now.
It's not that hockey doesn't Tucson pull 10,000 people a night?
They do well. So here's the thing,
it's not 10,000.
Or the 10,000 person
they do
arena.
Well.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right,
but they do well. What about the fans in Arizona, and what about the development? Don't lose sight of whose fault this is. If there are fans, but they cannot get to the games, whose fault is that? Mm-hmm. The National Hockey League. It's their fault. And they're trying to make up for it, and they can't make it work. I saw some chirps from Atlanta fans, like Atlanta-based hockey fans. They let hockey fail there twice.
Yeah.
And Arizona, man, I don't know what we're doing here. Who knows? This could be a fantastic story. From a business standpoint, have the Coyotes not lost all leverage with their plan to move to Tempe?
Yeah, because they just moved. So now Tempe City Council's got you over a barrel now.
What are you supposed to do? If Alan's talking about if the deal falls through. Well, okay, what if the deal goes through and it's a terrible deal? Because you put yourself in a position where you have zero leverage at all. You've already committed to moving without having an NHL building committed to.
Like the Islanders in Brooklyn. Remember, they had to pay X amount of dollars up front, and then it was just a disaster. And granted, it's different, but that was a bad arena deal. Imagine that, but worse. And that's what they're setting themselves up for. Why, if you're Tempe City Council, why would you give them any tax breaks at all? Just say, do you want an arena or do you not want an arena?
This is it. I mean, it's a fascinating story. I'm going to watch the Coyotes with so much intrigue.
Oh, yeah.
Next year, because I don't know. I want to see what it's like.
By the way, Roadrunners, 3,500 a night. My bad. But they have 10,000 fans.
Yeah.
But that's still better than the Coyotes.
Is the league not embarrassed by the situation? Like, do they not see what the situation is and that they're going to have an NHL team, a professional sports team playing in front of 3,200 fans? And do you not just see that on paper and say, no, I wouldn't do this because that is embarrassing to me and to the league and to the sport of hockey and to this professional hockey team and the players on the ice? Could you imagine if they go to the playoffs and we're watching a playoff game in this dinky arena? That's ridiculous.
I think it could be.
It's a spectacle because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, right.
That's not the way your professional sports league should be run.
I'm looking at it like I would watch that Pixar movie. I would absolutely watch that Pixar movie. I believe a lot of people have already watched that show, and it's called Ted Lasso.
Are the Coyotes Mystery Alaska?
Oh my
Right.
God. Yeah, well, they're going to have to sign Russell Crowe because who the hell else is going to sign there?
I'm going to be watching home game one of the Arizona Coyotes next year. Like, that's must-see television
I wanna see
for
it.
all
Oh,
of the
yeah.
wrong reasons.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. And the NHL should be embarrassed.
I also want to throw this at you.
Man.
It feels to me like, when you've got a band that's huge and then all of a sudden they're past their prime and then they're not huge anymore and then they got to play. They go down to stadium, or they go from stadiums to like outdoor venues and then outdoor venues to like, well, we got to play this small club.
Now they're on the little line on the Coachella
Yes,
poster.
yeah.
They're no
It's like,
longer the
those
big
guys
font.
had 3 number 1 hits. What are they doing in the tiny little writing on Coachella? Oh, they're going to play the 4th stage. That's great.
On Friday
Yeah.
at noon.
Now, honestly, the good side of this to me is that this could create one of the coolest environments to see a NHL game you've ever seen.
That's bad.
It's the most. Listen, it's bad, but I'm also saying like, I mean, there's not a bad seat in the house when there's only 3,200 of them.
So that's good.
Yeah, and Alan mentioned this too. Glendale's in the middle of nowhere, right? Compared to where most people in Scottsdale were going to the game.
Yeah, I'll take
So he
your
said,
word for it.
He said you're 45 minutes in traffic to the game and 45 minutes home, there and abouts. He's like, if you got a couple kids, you can't do that. It's impossible on a weeknight.
It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. So in that regard, that could be good as well. Maybe they move into Arizona State University. A lot of the kids on campus get excited, go to the games, get into it the way they get into NCAA, and they create this passionate fan base from this next generation here that follows them through. I mean, there are positives that can come from this, but the reality is right now, it's embarrassing. And number 2, they're not going to make any money. And they're going to have to solve this with the league and the players. But they're going to have to renegotiate parts of the CBA because of this.
I need an explanation for why this is good. I need one because so the Coyotes announced it and they make a big deal of it because I mean, you're still trying to sell a product. So hey, isn't this great?
3-year deal.
It's how they have to present it. And I'm seeing all of these comments from fans of the team like, oh, big dub. Big W. Canadians crying and coping. I saw. And I was like, are you all from Shelbyville drinking turnip juice?
I think it's they have a little bit of us against the world, which I get. Again, we don't hate. It's not hating Coyotes fans. It's just they've mismanaged this team for 20 years.
I don't understand why having to be in a position where being in a 3,200 seat building is a victory for you is a failure. It's a small victory born from an enormous cataclysmic failure. I don't understand it.
We don't focus enough on the fact that the Arizona Coyotes currently, this season, play in an NHL caliber arena and are being evicted because they couldn't write paychecks to the
Now,
arena.
Jesse, the lease is expiring.
We don't
Now,
talk
Jesse,
about how
they're not being evicted. Their lease is just expiring.
they are in an arena where they can play and continue to play. And if they had just made their payments, they could have stayed there.
Did you notice with ASU, they had to pay all their money up front? Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Is that what you were looking up?
As part
Yes.
of this is from Elliot Friedman.
There
As
it is.
part of the
Sorry.
deal with
Oh.
Arizona State, the Coyotes agreed to pay rent and construction costs up front.
What I'd like to know is that typical?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think
No,
so
if
either.
it was typical, then the Coyotes wouldn't have had a problem paying their other bills.
Steve, we're asking you to pay for your house up front.
I can't do that.
Well, we don't trust you. So either you pay it up front or you don't get the house.
But why don't you trust me? Why are you holding my long-standing record of being a shady grifter against me?
I don't know.
Like, I don't. Dude,
Honestly,
I don't
this
get it.
sort of reminds me of like the bad credit, no credit, you're approved.
So good.
And they come on down to this used car, get the car of your dreams, get your credit back on track. This is how this feels.
Look at you. You're wasting your summer. You're on the couch. You're not watching. You're watching TV. Who is that guy?
That's the guy who used to run during the Maury Show. And that was for something college. It was like an online college or something like that.
I'd just be watching TV as a kid and you'd be accosting me
Yeah.
like, I'm 13. I'm not going and getting a job. I'm 13.
Why don't you make the call that's going to help you in your future?
Because my parents won't let me use the phone. Because my mom's using the internet and it's 2001 and that'll kick her off if I pick up the phone.
The Coyotes have an arena. They are in it and they're being kicked out of it.
Yeah. Listen, I wish them the best of luck. I hope this is an amazing story.
And it could be. Couldn't it? It could be.
It could be. I mean, listen, if they're determined to throw money at the problem until it fixes itself, it might work.
Now,
but it's going to take 4 years.
Here's the question I would have. We talk a little bit about this with Alan as well. Coyotes are gonna lose money.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd simply move the team to Quebec City, which I in the past have said, they're not going to make any money there. If they're able to hit neutral in Quebec City, and if you're an owner, you don't really care about the profits. You care about the equity value, right? You don't care about making money off your house. You care about the house being worth more money. The house will be worth more money the second it hits Quebec City. And on top of that, you're going to fill that building every night. You're going to have corporate sponsorships. Quebec Corps would be the owner. They don't care about burning money if they've got a hockey team.
I don't get it, man.
I don't get it either.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Also, they better pray that Tempe City Council approves that arena. Because what's next? After, if they say no, what's next?
I think we're going to see the draft lottery and very mysteriously, doink, approved. Or they're going to get the first pick.
No.
Get your tinfoil hats on, kids.
Montreal doesn't get the first pick in Montreal?
Montreal better get it. No. If anything's going to be rigged, it's going to be rigged for this.
I think 2015 was the death of the rigging of the draft lottery.
Edmonton.
Oh, Gary Bettman cried deep, bitter tears that night. Like, deep, bitter tears. And it's 2022, and you can see why.
He might have been right on that one.
Oh, he was 1,000% right on that one.
Not Kate's shit. It's a new year, and with the job market for small business, it's even harder to find the people that you need for those positions. And that's why LinkedIn Jobs is the place for you. They make it easier, faster, and free. So all you have to do is create a fast, free job post on LinkedIn in minutes. Takes a few minutes. LinkedIn Jobs has access to over 770 million people. You can focus on the candidates with the right skills and experience by using the screening questions. It gets you in front of the right people faster and gets them in front of you. Then you use the simple tools on LinkedIn Jobs to quickly filter and prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week, nearly 40 million seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free right now at linkedin.com/SDP. That's linkedin.com/SDP to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Roses are red. Violets are blue. This Valentine's Day, don't let your wacky pubes wreck you. Do you like that? That was in the script, and I added a few words to it. Valentine's Day just around the corner, and you know what it is already. It's Manscaped. Presenting sponsor on the Steve Dangle Podcast. We're very thrilled to have Manscaped on. They kind of rock, as you know. The promo code is DANGLE. And I got a couple messages this week. I'm actually going to read one to you right now. This is from Doug, and this is a real message. I'm pulling out my phone. If you're watching the video version of this, you're watching me do it right now. My Wi-Fi is extremely slow. This is from Doug. Doug says, well, Adam, it happened. I finally bought the Lawnmower 4.0 with the code DANGLE at checkout. This has to be the most effective ad campaign ever. You totally wore me down until it made no sense for me not to get it. Bravo, sir. You win. I did nothing. Manscaped does all the talking for you. We're talking about cleaning up your balls. By the way, February 13th is National Shave Your Balls Day. Didn't know that we had one, but now we do. The number one product in the package, the Performance Package 4.0, by the way, I keep mentioning this, is the Lawnmower 4.0. It's the electric trimmer designed to trim hair on loose skin. Every other trimmer of hair is supposed to be on skin like what's on your face or like what's on your head. It's pulled back. Well, we know your balls are not. So it avoids and reduces cuts and nicks to your delicate balls. It even has a 4,000K LED spotlight, so you can shave anywhere your heart desires and you can see, and it's waterproof too. Now, you know that all you have to do to get 20% off and free shipping is use the code DANGLE at manscaped.com. So use that code DANGLE. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code DANGLE, join Cupid, and shoot your arrow with Manscaped this Valentine's Day. Hey, listen, growing up, cereal is one of the best parts about being a kid. Until we realized how full of sugar and how bad it was for us. Yay! Now listen, we're all trying to eat better, but healthy breakfasts don't have to be boring. Magic Spoon is here to save your taste buds. Without all the bad stuff, though. Like I said, midnight snack right before bed, this is the cereal for you. We're talking about cutting down on carbs, sugar, unhealthy stuff. And obviously, I think it's important that you know the flavors first. And then I'm going to tell you what's good about all the flavors. So the flavors are cocoa, fruity frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, cinnamon, cookies and cream, and maple waffle. Oh, now, here's the good stuff about all those flavors. 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs each serving. That's only 140 calories per serving. It is keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, carb low. It's carb low. You got to have some carbs. There's nothing wrong with that. So here's the deal. We need you to join us at magicspoon.com/STP to grab a custom bundle of cereal, and you can try it today. And be sure to use that promo code SDP at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident you're going to like this product, it's backed by a 100% happiness guarantee. Not even your family could give you that. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal, magicspoon.com/SDP. Use that promo code SDP to save $5 off. Thank you for using Magic Spoon. I want to talk about the Montreal Canadiens. So right after we finished recording, we talked at length about a potential coaching change in Montreal. Jesse, there were so many crab people out supporting Jesse and being like, you know what, Jesse's right. Keep fucking losing, losers. And then get those picks.
There's so many people on the other side who are like, I'm advocating for throwing games. Like, that's not what I was saying. I'm saying it's in your best interest to get Shane Wright. The quickest way to turn around this franchise is with Shane Wright. And the only way to get that is to have the most ping pong balls. And the only way to get the most ping pong balls is to lose. So you don't want to actively try and win if you're the general manager. If you're the players, you're going out and winning, obviously.
Of course.
Obviously. The players are trying to win. But if you're the general manager, you don't go make deals to try and, you don't go get McDavid to try and win games with the Canadiens.
No, but I've been seeing, it changes quickly, right? Like with the Oilers. Oh, we're not going to fire him, and then they fired him. But, I was a crazy man for suggesting I think maybe the Habs should play with some damn pride. And now all of a sudden I'm seeing tweets, people feeling bad for Caden Primo. They literally need a goalie who's not him.
They do.
Any goalie who's not him.
They need their Aaron Dell.
Yeah, like
Buffalo's Aaron Dell. They need their Aaron Dell.
If you're going to feed someone to the Wolves, don't let it be a prospect who you're kind of hoping pans out.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That is fair.
And Dell was available. There are guys. There are guys available. Listen, if you want a goalie who's going to help you lose games, there are goalies out there, and they haven't gone out and got him.
So the reason I bring this up is because immediately following the recording, Dom Ducharme was let go. And the first person I found that Jeff Ducharme was also let go. Sorry, Jeff.
Man, we're really good at that.
We are really, really good. The timing was impeccable. But I do think it was important that we had the conversation anyway, because I was saying, listen, you got to move on from this. And what's been fucking real interesting? What? So many people in the playoffs last year, I heard from so many Habs fans, like, you don't know shit about the Habs. Fine. Okay, cool. You're a Leafs homer. Definitely. Yeah.
Don't worry. You don't know shit about anything.
And and Ducharme is an unbelievable coach. When they signed with he makes $1.7 million this year, next year, and the year after that. He is one of the worst NHL coaches I've ever seen. But other side of it is people are like, oh, Adam Wilde must be celebrating somewhere right now because I've been saying it. Despite Dom Ducharme's best tries, the Montreal Canadiens still somehow made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. Imagine what they would have done with a real coach. But the problem is, no, and I wasn't wrong. Like in the regular season, they went 15, 16, and 1.
Like today's?
No, the entirety of this podcast, the SDP.
May 2013.
Yeah.
Since 2013, this might be the thing you are most right about.
Oh, maybe. But the numbers were there. He was 15, 16, and 1 after taking over for Claude Julien.
Right.
The team.
But they're also paying.
The 18th place team makes it because they're in the North Division.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then two unfortunate things. First off, Tavares gets hit. Second thing, the Leafs are, they are going to be the Leafs. And on and on and on and on, and they ride Carey Price like a pony right to the Stanley Cup Finals. And listen, I understand there's been COVID. I understand there's been injuries and that sort of thing, but it was written in the stars. You could see it in the way that they were deployed. And when you saw Luke Richardson, when Ducharme went into COVID protocol and Richardson came in, the Montreal Canadiens looked way better in the playoffs. It was crazy. Now, let me just say this one thing. This is a person. From everything I've heard, he's a nice, respectful person. So I'm not celebrating somebody losing their job.
It's not an assassination of his character, man.
But objectively,
you got to start every conversation from the fucking beginning.
Yeah, you do.
Like, it's
yeah, okay.
so brutal.
But I just want people to know that like I'm not excited that a man lost his job.
Right.
I was saying for the longest time, I don't know. He shouldn't have been put in that position. That was Bergevin being lazy, and look at the mess he's left behind.
Well, so everything I'm about to say is true. In the last 16 months, Marc Bergevin GM'd a team to the Stanley Cup Final, fired a coach, fired another coach, left his team on the hook for over $6.5 million in coaches who don't coach for them. Lost Philip Deneau.
Yep.
Knew Shea Weber wasn't going to play. Hasn't replaced him. Price, I'm shaky on that one. I don't know what to do with that one. I'm not going to lie. And he hot potatoed the last place team into the lap of the city and ownership. He left them in a terrible, terrible state. He did. That's fair to say. It's fair to say he built a team that went all the way to the Stanley Cup Final, generated memories for a fan base that will last a lifetime.
Which is amazing.
It's amazing.
I don't want to take that away.
But this is how he left them. Like, there are GMs who get fired who don't leave them like this.
No, exactly.
Also, was he fired? Or did he quit? I can't remember.
I can't even remember.
I think he was. I think
it was a little of both, right? It was almost like a mutual parting of ways.
Yeah.
There was something not decidedly not you're fired about it.
Well,
I think it was they parted ways.
There were rumors for months. He was going to LA and then he went. Look at them. Ew. This is brutal. This is terrible. I will say Martin St. Louis goes behind the bench. They lose. It was respectful.
Yeah, well,
it was at least respectable.
We'll talk about his press conference. There's one clip specifically that's making the rounds that I definitely want to hit with Marty.
Sure.
I just wanted to say, I didn't think, like, and I know Ducharme was an assistant coach for like 6 years there before he was the coach. It's not like you get pumped when someone loses their job, right? Unless they really truly deserve it and they're evil people. Then you're like, okay, cool. But you could not have looked at that team and go, that's the best deployment of the Montreal Canadiens ever. And you saw it this season. It was almost like a house of cards. Now, you had two major pieces leave, Weber and Price.
Yeah.
Tough to replace that, but isn't that the GM's job? And I don't put this at Dom Ducharme's feet. He was out of his depth, and he got a great goaltending performance, and he got the last vestiges of Shea Weber's career, and then he got a sweet extension out of it. Good for him.
You know what we got last night? Because I've had many conversations with Berkshire. I don't know how he's doing Game Over. because I was trying to talk to him about what I did during like the Horacek year and the year that the Leafs were obviously trying to finish last.
Yep.
They lose 4-2. But who scored the 2 goals? Were they under the age of 24? Victory. That's a win.
That's how we used to talk about it here.
It's what we call a moral victory. There was the 2 young guys scored a goal. The goalie made 3 spectacular saves, and there was a fight. You could argue the guy won.
Would Daniel Winnick get us another 2 second rounds at the trade deadline?
You talk about who's going out the door. You talk about the kids taking steps.
Yep.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The Habs don't have that. They got that with Sherratt. There are guys with term who could go. But like Cole Caulfield's been a disaster.
Yeah.
It's been an abject failure of the team in terms of development. Then they bring in Martin St. Louis, who's like handcrafted to make Cole Caulfield succeed. Scores in the first game.
Confidence.
Minutes on the power play.
Yeah.
I worry that St. Louis has never coached anything before.
Well,
that was the problem with Ducharme. Ducharme's claim to at least Ducharme did the
he was the Montreal Canadiens assistant coach too.
Yes,
for a long time.
And then he coached for a long time in the QM JHL, and like his claim to fame is that Halifax Mooseheads team that went 58-6 and won the Memorial Cup.
Was that the Nathan McKinnon, Jonathan Drouin team?
That was Drouin, McKinnon, Zach Fucali year.
Stupid.
It was just ridiculous. And he coached that team. And like there's a track record there with Ducharme, but like no NHL experience. And then you bring in St. Louis, who also 0 NHL experience, 0 minor league experience. Like at least Ducharme had something.
I want to play the St. Louis clip, but I'm of 2 minds on St. Louis.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, Marty St. Louis' hiring is everything we're asking the NHL not to do. Hey, this guy's got a good relationship with the GM and president. Let's hire him. Mm-hmm. Does he have an experience? Fuck his experience. Now, did he play? Yes. Would he know how to coach? Probably.
I think the fact he played is relevant.
It is relevant, but how relevant was it for Wayne Gretzky when he coached the Coyotes?
Exactly.
So, and people forget about that. The other side of this is, and I'm going to reference another former player who became a coach and a great coach, a much better coach than he was a player, and that's Pat Quinn. Sorry, Vancouver, but he's Toronto's. I know he's yours. I'm not. But I love Pat Quinn.
Makes us bitter.
And what they used to say about Pat Quinn was, at least when he had a veteran team, because Pat Quinn did not like young players, did not trust young players. Sorry, Lonnie Bohannes, your career was cut short forever by playing here.
Him and the vast majority of coaches ever.
Yeah, none of them like young players. But Pat Quinn's thing, Pat Quinn wasn't going to teach you anything. He's going to have you play somewhat of a system. Like, they at least had a system. Whatever. But Pat Quinn's thing was getting people who already knew how to play hockey more motivated than the next guy to play hockey. Mm-hmm. That was what Pat was great at. When you hear Ty Domi, Darcy Tucker, Gary Roberts, Matt Sundin, any of them talk about Pat Quinn as a coach, and I think Vancouver's probably the same. They were motivated. They loved Pat, and they would die for Pat. Look at what Rod Brind'Amour has done in Carolina. Right? Now, Rod Brind'Amour put in his time. That's the part where I'm like, wasn't Rod Brind'Amour an assistant coach for like 8 years?
It was
a while.
Sure. It was a while. I could look that.
So this is where I'm of 2 minds on it. I'm happy for Marty St. Louis. I'm happy for Habs fans. Fuck, man. No Marty St. Louis team is going to not give a shit. That's for sure. With his fucking gaze, which is the crazy. He's got the David Clarkson eyes, right? He's just.
Brind'Amour was an assistant from 2011 through 2018, and then in 2018 he got the promotion to head coach. Yeah, he did his time.
So but here's the thing. There's plenty of people who have done their time who didn't get a sniff.
Mm-hmm.
This guy played for the president in New York.
They didn't bring in a coach to coach. They brought in a motivator, like you're saying. Like St. Louis is in there to just rile the guys up and get them to finish out this season. Like, I don't expect him to go in there and teach them anything they don't know.
He's also like on a trial.
Yeah,
like,
hopefully.
You know,
maybe you think the assistant coaches can carry some of the other burdens. It's not like, listen, he went to practice for 35 years as a player. I'm sure he knows how to run a drill.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Now, I did send you a clip, Jesse. Are you able to play it? Because I thought this is
Sure.
really, really interesting. And all Habs fans this morning are sharing it.
Yeah, you've only teased this clip 1,000 times. So
I know,
we
I'm
keep
sorry.
cutting you off at different points.
No, it's me cutting myself off, man. Shut up.
It's relevant before you play the clip that Habs fans keep sharing this and seem to be excited about this. It's the first thing I've seen them excited about in months. So already St. Louis has had an impact.
All right, you ready for this clip that we've been teasing for 40 minutes?
You know, in another...
Now, there is structure inside concepts. Systems, you can say structure. When systems, you box players into only certain things they can do. And that was probably one of the things that I hated the most as a player, is play in a system where I was a great player when I was allowed to make reads, because the best players make the best reads. But if you take the reads out of the equation, those best players become average. So I want to make sure that I allow my best players to make reads. And I rather them make a bad one than not making a read at all. And sometimes in systems, there's not much reads. Playing with a little more instinct.
I like that.
With ideas.
And as a great player, making reads is a thing. But systems are in place to make the not as great players play within it, right?
They have someone in there who thinks the way a high-end player thinks.
Yeah. They do.
And, the conversation around the Montreal Canadiens before the season began was, look at all these young guys. Like, there's a reason to get excited about this team. And they've all... As a Leaf fan who followed the Montreal Canadiens playoff run beyond the Leafs Habs series, I cannot believe Cole Caulfield. I cannot believe it.
Because he was another... He was like, the soul has left his body.
He was an axe-wielding murderer in the playoffs. An absolute banshee out there. The stuff he did to the Leafs, and listen, he had his moments, and there were moments where I was like, it's, he's got talent, but he's just a kid. By the time the Vegas series rolled around, I mean, that's a team built around defense that had no answer for him. No answer for this guy who had 10 games of NHL experience?
10.
Before the playoffs began?
10 total. And 5 points in those 10.
And last night he scored what? Goal number 2? Or like his first power play goal? Something like that?
Yeah, it was his first power play goal. Because, lo and behold, they put a score on the power play.
They could lose every game 3-2 for the rest of the season. But if Caulfield gets going...
Suzuki.
No, that's his second goal of the season.
And it's
in
his
how
first
many
power
games?
play.
In 31 games.
But this
I don't believe it. How many did he have in 10 games? 4.
4.
4!
But remember, Ducharme wouldn't dress him for the first couple games against the Leafs and then had to? And he tore the Leafs apart?
In the playoffs,
Tore us apart. It's so dangerous. Like, this is
that
why
2-0 with Suzuki.
that should have told you right there that Ducharme was not the right guy.
And Kotkaniemi, too.
Yeah, man.
Caulfield would have been great on Team USA. I didn't know he's from Wisconsin. He would have been awesome.
On the topic of Bergevin,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we're losing Kotkaniemi, but I'm going to turn around and take that to get Dvorak because we're good. Holy shit. You talk about another really, really poor read.
Bad trade.
They mentioned, Elliot mentioned in 32 Thoughts that Dvorak is on the block, and some teams are asking.
Oof.
I mean, I don't know. Like, at a certain point, certain teams, they galaxy brain players. Like, listen, sometimes you can have a rehab project that works, like Galch with the Leafs last year, going into, except for the terrible giveaway.
I was about to say, we're talking about this series, and you're going to say it worked?
He was a serviceable player.
Yes, absolutely.
And he couldn't find a job before that, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just don't see it with Dvorak.
Well, you don't see it with anybody. This is like last show. I was talking about how are the Habs going to ask for anything for anyone at the trade deadline? Like, how do you evaluate? Like, oh, this guy looks like the best player on the biggest piece of shit in the league. Like, it's who on most nights could you say look good? You know what I mean? But I think now, if you're having players play creatively, because I mean, playing in a system obviously didn't work. We could at least we could give fans moments. We could give fans something to hold on to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can't just hope for the first overall pick. That's The 15-16 season for the Leafs, that's not what it was all about. It wasn't just hoping for that pick. We were paying attention to all the prospects, the young guys. The Marlies did really well in the playoffs that year, and we were paying
players
attention
in
to
there.
all
Yeah,
that.
I seem to remember somebody had a great little army called Tank.
Yes,
Tank
but
Army?
it wasn't the sole
What was the
focus.
driving force of that season? Was it
Nick
not
Kypreos.
a tank? A tank driving a fan base towards a high draft pick?
That was 14-15.
Okay, definitely big difference.
That was it, dude.
The ethos wasn't the same at all.
You gotta have something outside of the first pick. They had nothing. That what prior to last night did they have to hold on to?
Who, the Montreal Canadiens?
Yes.
I mean, not much.
Yeah.
I mean, they had
season's
Suzuki and
gone.
Caulfield. Yeah, the season was
Yeah.
toast.
Yeah.
But like,
No, but like,
What do you mean?
like any of the young guys performing well? You excited about Caden Primo, Cole
No, how
Caulfield?
are you supposed to get excited about anything? You're losing.
right.
If you're performing well, then you're not losing.
Is this on? The young guys got to perform. The
Then-
young guys got to show strides and improvements, and they
Okay.
haven't
Okay.
prior to last night.
But we're also acting like there aren't like three other teams in and around the Canadiens. Like, why aren't you having this conversation about the Coyotes?
Well,
because you're not
because-
paying as close attention to them.
No, because the Coyotes don't have that. Like,
No,
here's
they're
the thing,
shambolic.
Montreal
They're
should not have been this bad. I think that's the point. They
Yes.
do have good young
Sure.
players. Suzuki, Caulfield are two of them. Romanov's another one. Caden Primo's another one we're waiting on, right?
So the Coyotes do have something to hold on to. They have the world supply of picks and like one of the best feel-good stories in the league when it comes to goalies. By the way, apologies to Subwoofer guy. This is going to be a tough day for you.
Why?
Well, because I spanked the microphone.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
My
For just on Dvorak, it's a Western Conference teams that are interested.
Oh,
Clarify.
we're in that season now where we got to guess. Oh, great. You narrowed it down to half the league. Ooh. Why are you married to a time zone?
So I'm excited for Montreal fans. I'm excited for the Canadiens because I want to be excited for the Canadiens. I'm a Leaf fan. I know that. But it's fun to see young players tear it up. And it's been depressing to watch what's happened in Montreal. And the reason we're not talking about the Coyotes in the same way or other teams or the Sabres in the same way is because those two organizations specifically, if there was relegation, they would have been gone long ago. And I think with the Canadiens, the history, they just made the Stanley Cup final. The fact that every player on that team was playing 20 to 30% worse than they're capable of. I mean, maybe they played 5 or 10% more, like better than they were, in the playoffs. This is an enormous swing, and I'm excited to see what happens. I'm not convinced on Marty St. Louis. I'm not convinced, but if he makes them feel better, they're going to play better.
He's had a good start.
Be less shocked. They had a whole summer of making moves that were all questionable. They lost their top 3 of their top performers in Price, Weber, Deneau. It's a terrible season, but we should have also seen a bit of this coming with the way Bergevin was making moves with this team.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, is your company having trouble finding the people you need to hire? There are 46% more jobs being posted than before the pandemic, and there are 44% fewer candidates applying for each job. So you need to find the right candidates, and you need to hire them fast. That's where Workable comes in to help. Workable accelerates every step of the hiring process from find to hire. Now, Workable helps you cast the widest net possible by posting your jobs all to the top of the job boards, more than 200 job boards in total, with just one click. And it helps you evaluate and quickly hire using modern tools and video interviews and e-signatures. It's great. Workable also will help you automate repetitive tasks like scheduling interviews, and you get a free 15-day trial, risk-free, when you sign up. And if you hire during that trial, which many people do, guess what? It does not affect a thing. It doesn't cost you anything. Go to workable.com and start hiring. Workable is hiring made easy. Whether you're hiring for a coffee shop or your engineering team, Workable is exactly what you need to find the right people to hire fast. Start hiring today with a 15-day risk-free trial. If you hire during the period, which many do, it won't cost you a thing. Just go to workable.com and start hiring. Workable is hiring made easy. Now, let's talk about the Leaf game last night. We got Calgary, we got Toronto. Calgary wins, and they... to quote Steve's tweets, the Leafs got squished. Now, this is created, and I think there is a divide within Toronto Maple Leaf fans right now.
No, we're united.
specifically,
sport.
stop it. Specifically
start it.
on,
Continue.
specifically with Toronto Maple Leafs fans, there are the group of people who, in the broader context, in the 5-year context, are looking at this team. And then there are the people that are going, those other years don't matter. This is a new year. This team's really fucking good. And it seems, Steve, like there's a bit of a divide with the fans that are watching your show, are watching LFR. Because the fans that are watching it in the full 5-year, 6-year context, whatever you want to put it, are going, Steve, I see what you're saying. We saw all these same problems before. They didn't address them, and they lost in the first round. And then we see people who are not of that opinion saying, hey, listen, that is all in the past. It's a new team. You have said it yourself. It's the best forward group you've ever seen with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I think so.
For me, it is.
By every number, and the one that matters most wins, this is the best team in the history of the Toronto Maple Leafs franchise.
Regular season.
Best regular season.
So
team.
I'm curious why you, Steve, were upset about last night.
So we talked about the Carolina Hurricanes game as being a playoff style game.
Mm-hmm. Tight game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, tight doesn't mean playoff style. Tight means tight. It was competitive, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But we knew the Leafs could skate with the best teams in the league. They can fire the puck with the best teams in the league. I really like the compete of Peter Mrazek going up against Freddie Anderson, who's been unbeatable. But there was a moment in the Calgary game in the first period where I was like, oh, okay, this is going to go bad. And I don't even know if it was 1-0 yet.
But it didn't fall apart till midway through the second. What was it that triggered that?
It was, so I'm like, okay, the Flames are playing real ornery right now. And when Backlund nailed Nylander, which was a penalty, by the way.
Yeah.
I saw it going south because you saw the flavor of the game. And I was reminded, I know every season's a new season, but people will go back to their habits. And Daryl Sutter's team, the Calgary Flames, is going back to Daryl Sutter habits. After the schedule's weird, so, pick a date. But after roughly the All-Star break, playtime's over. It's over. What he did with the 03 or the 04 Flames, the ones that went to the Stanley Cup Final, for the rest of the season, we do not lose 4 out of the next 7 games. For the rest of the season, we win at least 4 out of the next 7 games. Playoff style hockey. That team was not that talented. I don't even know if they were in the top half for teams that were in the playoffs. Tough SOBs. Now that's 2004. Okay, well, Jeff Carter. Oh man, he turned the tide of the LA Kings in 2012. Well, yeah, but if you go look at his totals, his underlying numbers were stellar. I remember writing about that. But if you go look at his point totals, he wasn't a mutant. He helped make a team that was in the middle of hitting their stride better because playtime is over. I'm Daryl Sutter. We looked at the Flames moves this summer, and a lot of people didn't like them, and I wasn't crazy about them, but I'm like, this is a Daryl Sutter-ass team.
Blake Coleman.
And within the first 10, 12 minutes of that game, I'm like, oh, we're getting a Daryl Sutter game. Those Kings teams that won back-to-back cups were heavy and exhausting. Grinding. And, not particularly dirty, necessarily. Just wave after wave after wave. And all I could think was not 3 periods of this. It's 4 to 7 games of this. And the Leafs couldn't handle 3 periods of it. Now, guys, they were down to 10 forwards. Well, when the night began, they were down to 11. Also, management's choice.
Yeah.
They didn't have to.
It was for a cap. situation.
Yeah, I know Wayne Simmons had a baby.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was so insulted.
What do you mean?
I was so insulted that people thought I was like, well, why isn't he in the game? Like, I don't know. Gee.
Yeah, it made, Dubas said beforehand, it made more sense on the cap to not call up, to run with 7D as opposed to call up Clifford or Richie.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, just for the cap. It's the middle of the season. That's okay.
Yeah, fine.
If it's the playoffs, it's a different situation.
Fine. But the Flames played the way they did, with the speed that they did, the energy they did, the violence and aggression that they did on the second half of a back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to move the goalposts for the Leafs, we're going to move them for them too. Okay? What I said, in that I should never tweet. I have this platform. I have LFRs. Why do I ever tweet? I go through this once, twice, 3 times a season where I go, why do I have an account? Why do I have an account? What a waste of time. Like, I
save it for the show.
Yeah,
I
save it
cannot
where-
adequately explain myself.
Much in a tweet, no.
That much is obvious. So
Like, you were trying
Here
to
I
have a
am.
nuanced conversation last night
On Twitter, and you can't.
And, that
And I
was-
don't know-
That was your fault.
1,000%.
That's your fault.
1,000% my fault. And here it is in a nutshell. The Leafs do not lose a lot of games. They win the vast majority of the games they play.
Which is great.
They often lose these games. We've seen it over and over and over again. And it's one game and okay. Like, I mean, at
You were
some
tweeting
point-
about it being a playoff game, Steve. It wasn't a playoff game. Objectively, it's a Thursday night
Yeah.
game in Calgary.
And a lot of people, that's their response. They're like, okay, it's not, though. It's not a playoff game. It saved those expectations for the actual playoff game.
So which one of us is saying the regular season doesn't matter then? Because I was getting a lot of that. Well, you said the regular season doesn't matter. No. You're the one saying this game does not matter.
They're saying it doesn't matter in the context of everything that's going on and the fact that they're a really good team.
Well,
They're
those
having their
games
best
don't
regular
matter either.
season ever.
Those games don't matter either. It's a collection of individual games.
Well,
So they don't matter either.
then
They've
if-
played 0 games.
Then I can be like, okay, I agree with you. Then let's just wait till the playoffs, and then you're still overreacting to this one game.
I think people are overreacting to valid criticism.
Mm-hmm.
They lose heavy games, man. They struggle in heavy games. Now, they outshot the Flames. They came out of the gate hot.
What do you say about to people that they got goalied? What do you say to
They
that?
get goalied every playoff.
Well, they
How
have played
many-
some pretty good goalies. Tuukka Rask, Carey Price.
Oh, it's the list of shitty goalies to win the Stanley Cup is pretty short.
Well, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
Antiniemi.
Right.
That's it. You're right.
Guys,
You're right.
The
You're right.
idea that having a good goaltender isn't just a thing you can do. Like, I texted this. People act like having the other team having a good goalie is like illegal. It's like, oh, they had a good goalie, so their victory doesn't count. No, you can build the team that way, and you can win with a good goalie.
Like, they're gonna potentially play Andrei Vasilevsky, right?
yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the question we're not asking here is, the other team had a good goalie. Do the Leafs?
He's struggling.
We got an 8-game skid now with Jack Campbell, where I've seen 1 or 2 good starts, maybe.
Nick Alberga had a wild tweet yesterday. I think it was his last 9 games. He's 6-2-1, which is fantastic, with an 893, which is devastating.
Devastating.
Here, how about this one from Mike Augello? It's from December 1st. Jack Campbell, 9-2-2,
Incredible.
898.
Oh, God.
Save percentage.
Woo!
So I think, to me,
Wow.
Not good.
if you're going to talk about, like, the Leafs aren't struggling, it's a game, but our job is to overanalyze everything.
Yeah.
Welcome along for the ride. Hi, you must be new here. And I think personally that the Leafs are a very good team. And if Jack Campbell can get that save percentage to 905 or 910, we're laughing. Different game last night.
Jack Campbell can't go into the corners.
No, we can't. You're right. But I do think when the Leafs are at their best, they can outplay heavy teams. They can play around heavy teams. They're not going to be a heavy team.
Totally.
And that's what I'm thinking is that I think that they know that Jack's a little fragile right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they know that last night they're a couple men down. And I know excuses, whatever. You're going to lose people in the playoffs, whatever. And I know like Muzzin. Did Muzzin even play last night? No.
Mhm.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
He did.
Muzzin
But
was-
it's like his first game back.
Yeah, Muzzin was
He was
there.
okay.
He was back in the lineup.
But he's okay.
I was encouraged.
Good.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like Jake Muzzin, after coming back from a concussion, is going to go, let's go toe to toe, Matt Tkachuk. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to fight you. My thing is, I think that what you're seeing is what the Leafs look like when Jack Campbell isn't Vezina candidate Jack Campbell. This is not his best stretch, and they're still doing great. So from my perspective, I think this team is talented enough to play around the heavy. I think you can have high-flying teams. The Penguins are a great example of a high-flying team that were tough and nasty sometimes, and the Leafs can be. Michael Bunting's a great example of that. I didn't love the takes on the Kasha thing is interesting.
Yeah, can we talk about that?
Yeah, so
I don't think it's a suspension.
I don't think
No,
is.
it wasn't even. It was a clean hit. Zadorov.
I don't know what he's
6'4".
supposed to do.
He's 6'4", and he's going up against a guy who's 6'1" Kasha is.
I don't know.
I don't know, but it doesn't
such
matter. Kasha's just smaller than him, and Zadorov's checking him, and Kasha goes into like the middle of his chest and his shoulder.
And if
Like,
you're the
that's
team,
how you hit a guy in the NHL.
if you're the team that more often than not, like higher than 50% of the time, comes out on the wrong end of stuff like that, you're going to be shorthanded.
Mhm.
Like I'm not saying anything that's unfair here. Like again, they're a great team. They're a team worth believing in. And I'm not asking the Leafs to be the Flames. They're not built to be the Flames. The Lightning are a great standard for the Leafs to aspire to. I know they said the Hurricanes. The Lightning are a great standard to aspire to because they're not particularly heavy up front. They got a couple guys. Real heavy on the back end. Good Lord. And they got a world-beating goalie when all else fails, which it doesn't usually.
Right.
So they're like, to me, there's a reason they're the back-to-back champs with a chance at a third. They're currently the standard. Why shouldn't we be talking about that? Why shouldn't we be talking about how they can be even better?
Here's the thing. Both can be true, right? And I think this is important for Leafs fans to understand is that the Leafs are probably the best Leafs team we've ever seen. This is the best regular season team by the stats we've ever seen. And it's also true that there's 5 or 6 teams that you would say are easily better.
I wouldn't say easily better. I'd say
Florida, Tampa.
I give the edge to.
Give the edge to, okay.
Florida, Tampa, so that's an enormous problem.
Carolina.
Both of them are in the division. Carolina.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you include the West Coast on this one too. I'm talking league wide.
I think Carolina is pretty evenly matched. It's more evenly matched than people.
That was a
give
fun
credit.
game. I want them to
very
play each
fun
other. They're
game.
not going to play each other, but I want them to.
I think the Leafs have the edge on the Bruins now, but that remains
Yeah?
to be seen.
Yeah.
Colorado's really good. Vegas is very difficult to evaluate because we haven't seen them play a healthy game,
And Jack Eichel.
and they're still in first. By the way, they're quietly tampering their way.
somebody's going to go down with an
Yeah.
injury here.
What about
It's already happened.
I mean,
Mark Stone,
Nashville
went
is
out, yeah.
LTIR.
Nashville is resurgent this year.
Lucy Saros.
Right.
Yeah.
But Toronto's
And-
competitive with any team in the league, I think is what we're
They
saying.
can
now.
play any
Yeah.
team in the league, but I'm
Right.
saying, okay, maybe not 5 teams.
Right.
But the problem is that 2 of the teams that were mentioned there are directly in their division. And that's
Yeah.
the hard part, right? It's like it's not that you're trying to like league wide. Yes, you compare them to most teams, they're kicking ass. It's amazing. But the problem is that they have to play probably Tampa or Florida, and both teams are very, very good.
I
don't know if that's a problem. You don't play bad teams in the playoffs.
I don't understand why Leaf fans who care are pretending not to.
No, I don't think it's that I think it's a difference of opinion. I don't think it's a not care. I think it's they're looking at this and going, this is objectively a new season. Last season, if you really look at it in context too, Steve, remember the Leafs did not have a backup. The Leafs have Jack Campbell and Peter Mrazek this year, but they had Freddie Anderson and his unsurgically repaired hip playing awful in the AHL. So, they were hoping and praying that Jack Campbell, who has an injury history, got through.
Yeah, Freddie, I mean, God bless him for the success he's having in Carolina. He was a non-option by the end of last year.
And
He was
like
a
you
non-option.
can't argue that. Like he was terrible.
You couldn't use him.
So they still dressed. So they had that going on. There was COVID going on. There's all those things. So I understand I think it's just a different point of view of people like, I think we should leave that in the past. Certain core pieces are gone from some of those teams. And I can understand that point of view. I'll have to admit sometimes I feel like, yeah, why are we paying attention to what happened last year? Because really, if you look at any of those series, Montreal, Winnipeg, Vegas, all those teams want that series back. All those teams want that series back.
It's not about last year. I was watching last night, and I saw the blue team get squished by the red team.
It's also hard for people to live and die by game 44 of the season.
Yeah, it is. And you have to understand that your passion edge is a little bit higher than a lot of people's.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's true. Because
I'm saying there's a group of people who are like, Steve, it's game 44. There are a group of people who are like, Steve, it's game 44, and I agree.
And they lose 9-1 next game, they'll all show up.
That's different, I think, though.
I don't cheer for the Leafs to lose. Oh, Steve, makes more money, gets more clicks when they lose. They're one of the best teams in the league. Do you know how badly I wished it was the other way around? Do you know how badly I wished I got 100,000 every time they won a game?
Mm-hmm.
I don't. And that's not my fault. I don't know what to do about that, guys. I
don't think that's the same argument.
I own a bakery.
We're not talking about the same thing.
I own it. Let me get this out. I own a bakery. I bake goods. I put them on the shelf. Some days people come in and buy them. Right. Others they don't.
Right.
I don't know what to do about that. Because they're delicious every day.
That's something else. That's besides our conversation here.
Yeah, that's not the conversation. I think the conversation here, Steve, is that there are two groups of fans, and there are some who are like, last season's done, let it go. This team looks better than they did last year, and they do. Like, let's be honest, Joe Thornton dressing last year, come on, he's terrible. He's terrible most of the year. Terrible. Playing on the top line, playing third line, even fourth line. Like, I know he scored some stuff, but come on, you saw him skate out there. So did I. So just not having that in the lineup. I love Joe Thornton. He was not the right fit. Just that alone, team's better. I think you got people who are like, I'm ready to look at this team as it is right now. Mm-hmm. And then I got other people that have a little PTSD who are looking at it in the 5-year projection. And I get both sides. I do. I'm of the opinion, I'm leaning towards I think we got to look at this team as it is. And what I see and what I saw last night is the Leafs played fragile hockey, which they are prone to do. Their goalie is not at his best, although he's still winning, which is great. So that's perfect. And frankly, I know that when the Leafs are at their best, they can skate circles around just about anybody except for Florida.
There's also in that first group the idea that you can't show up for all 82 games.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah. Every team has nights where they don't show up,
You're
where they're not the best,
code,
where they get beat.
Right?
That's just a thing that happens in sports. You get beat. You're not going to win every game, and I think a lot of people are looking at it as like, okay, when do we freak out? Because the game 44 might not be it.
How would we be talking about the Leafs if the roles were reversed? If they, on the second half of a back-to-back, pulled that off against one of the top teams in another division?
We'd be saying they're great.
Yeah.
There it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Flames were great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the Leafs had an off night.
The Leafs are an extremely good team.
Yeah.
They're really difficult to beat.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to beat them, you're going to play how the Flames did last night.
Yeah. I think the perception out there for certain people, and this is a small group, by the way, is that if you're negative, you specifically, Steve, are negative about the Leafs, whether they win or lose, that you do better. And I can tell you objectively, I've seen the numbers. I run a network. That's not true.
I'm not doing any of the things anyone's ever accused me. I'm not yucking it up.
But I also
yelling and screaming.
I also want to throw this out there. It's okay to let people think that.
Oh, listen. I didn't get like a viral moment where I blew up overnight. This has been a slow burn for 15 years. And for a lot of that 15 years, I ran this mom and pop shop where I had a really intimate relationship with everyone I was talking to.
Mm-hmm.
And I've lost that. It's gone. Like, I don't get to control everything I put out there. And sometimes I struggle with that. Sometimes it depresses me.
Does it?
Yeah.
Why?
It does.
Tell me about that.
Because I miss you.
What do you feel a little misunderstood?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, sometimes I'll get a message or whatever from someone who I know has been watching for years. And it's not just a disagreement, it's like cruel. And I'm like, where? Like, you'd be amazed how many of you I value as friends. And, you know, it's like having a lot of friends and none of them are close. Mm-hmm. Instead of having a few friends and they're really tight. You know, I thank you for all the success you've given me and everything, but there are times where I miss you.
Yeah, it's hard.
Does that make sense?
If you're an artist and you come out and you have one song and everybody who listens to your first song loves your song, and then your song gets started playing on the radio, and then people who aren't a fan of you start hearing your shit and they start tweeting that, hey, your song sucks, and you're like,
or you release your second album and the new fans like it and the old fans don't,
right? Or whatever combination of that is, you know, you reach a new audience and you grow, and then there's a portion that didn't seek you out that are just turned on you because you're too big. You know, it's a difficult thing you're going through.
But it's also like the stadium is so big that I'm up here, I'm on the stage singing "Mary Had a Little Lamb," and everyone at the back heard "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star," and I'm like, "You're too. That's not what I was." But and I gotta stop. You know. Partway through every song.
So and then the thing you do is you try and go to each individual person in this 50,000 seat stadium and talk them into what you're talking about.
And you can't do it, but damn it, I try. Mm-hmm. I try, and it doesn't work.
So let me throw this at you, and I think this is an important thing. If you create content for a living, one of the things I learned in university, for the university I attended. I know. It's hilarious to hear that. I get it.
We both thought the same thing, but you laughed out loud.
Jesse doesn't give a fuck.
Tell everybody how long you went to school for and how many degrees you own.
I went 0 degrees.
When I worked at the NHL Network. Sorry.
0 degrees. And I was in philosophy. And one of the things that we were talking about is media. It was like a media philosophy crossover class. And you talk about like Marshall McLuhan and that's like paint dry or whatever. But one thing that kind of perked my interest was a writer discussing, and I think this is a theory and I forget what it's called and whatever, I'm not going to cite it properly. So sorry to all the university people that are like, oh, it's from this, you dummy. Is if this was a specifically a writer, but if you do songs, if you do poetry, if you do YouTube videos, if you do Vine, if you do whatever, your time with your content, the only time that you're going to control how people feel about your content is when you're the only one who has consumed it. The second you put it out to the world, it no longer belongs to you. It belongs to the audience that consumes it, whether they like it or they don't. So every Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran song that I have been forced to listen to, despite my better judgment, it belongs to me because I'm now consuming it. It doesn't belong to them anymore. And it's a philosophical principle. And the whole point of it was to say, as a person who creates stuff, and I would say artist, I don't know if YouTube is an art. I don't know. Podcasting's an art. I don't know.
Creator.
I don't know. Someone who creates, as soon as you create, you put it out in the world and you let people take it the way that they want to take it and you don't control that.
I know.
And I want to say, I think there's a couple of things here that you mentioned and I think it's really important. I think number one, the last 2 years have been the hardest that any of us have ever gone through. And I have seen.
I was a little stressed this week.
Yeah, I think so. Well, not just you, but I think everybody, whether you're in the United States, Canada, Europe, Asia, we get listeners all around the world. I think that I've seen it in my DMs as well, and I've seen the when people are mad and people who I know and follow are mad or they disagree with an opinion. It wouldn't be like, hey, I disagree. It's, hey, fuck your wife and family. And you know,
Adam, ex-wife.
Sorry, you're right. But yeah. Like I hope your house burns down, you piece of shit. Where it's like, wow, I didn't expect that take on that team would take you to that level. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because we're all collectively a little on edge. I think I'd put you in that category, Steve.
Sure.
I'd put myself in that category. Jesse, not so much. Some people,
gotta envy you.
I know.
It would be a poor conversation on our behalf if we didn't mention a 2-year pandemic
100%
amongst everything we just said.
I'm so tired
of it.
It
goes into everything that was just said and just the reactions of people and how everybody's consuming and taking the world.
So here's what I'm going to recommend. And if you're watching this or you're listening to this, the guy to my left is Steve Dangle. Steve Dangle is one of the most caring, humblest, great guys I've ever met.
Shut up.
Sometimes he also gets a little mad. As you all know, because that's why you watch him in the first place. Some of your blow-ups are great.
Some of them.
And I would say this. Nothing has changed except we've had a really tough couple of years. If everybody could just take it a little easier on each other in this community, because it's a great community, I think we'd be better.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that we got to be perfect. Sometimes I'm snide. Rosie DeMano told me the other day that I don't know what the fuck or something. And I said, well, that makes two of us, Rosie.
No, she said, you have no clue.
You have no clue. And I said, what? No, you have no fucking clue.
Oh.
And I said, well, that makes two of us, Rosie. Admitting fully that I don't have a clue either.
Yeah. Oh, listen, it's not like I give everyone grace.
No, but I feel like let's just take it down a notch. It is game 44. Steve felt like the Leafs got squished. I felt like the Leafs goalie hasn't been great lately. They played a little fragile and they didn't have the best night.
Both
can be true.
There was a moment where Goodbranson was behind the net. It was in the third period, and there was like a scuffle, and he was just wailing on someone, and the ref was just kind of standing there. Do you remember this?
Yeah,
I think it was Mikheyev was at the bottom of the pile.
Always happens.
Yeah.
I've stopped. Like, what do you think? Officiating is going to save you?
No, it's not.
Like,
Now-
it's going to get better?
Yeah.
No, it's going to get worse. Now,
Stop.
we do have to talk. Speaking of officiating, before we wrap, we got a little bit to get through in the show, but Brad Marchand, 6 games.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. So much has happened.
And I've heard through sources that the Bruins organization is apoplectic.
With who?
The NHL.
Because
Because
this is not a 6-game suspension.
based on the NHL's past, it's not a 6-game suspension, which I 100% agree with.
I would
Based on-
say the NHL's past is you can't touch goalies.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I think the 6-game suspension is the precedent for, hey, don't fucking touch goalies.
Well, who was the last guy to swing at a goalie?
Yeah, especially because he goes over as the refs kind of drag him to the penalty box, and he spears the guy in the face.
Oh.
You can't do that to a goaltender.
There's another thing where, Steve's saying you should be able to do this. What the? No! 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 I'm glad. If this is the direction the NHL is going to go, great. You shouldn't be able to do that shit. But I forgot this last episode when we were talking about it. There is concrete evidence that Brad Marchand is allowed to punch people in the head with no repercussions. He punched Scott Harrington in the back of the head.
What position?
Defense.
Yeah, there you go.
So, okay, do defensemen and forwards have thicker brain fluid than
No, but it's
goaltenders?
just always been the way
means
it's been.
different. Yeah, a defenseless.
That's wrong!
I know, but
defenseless
you're not
yeah,
going to
but
change it. Steve,
You can
remember what you said.
You can also go on the ice and punch someone in the face. You can't do that in real life. Like, that's assault.
I
On
know.
the ice, there are different rules, so don't pretend like there aren't different rules.
Clearly
No.
it's wrong.
Like-
Clearly it's wrong, but the refs are not going to save you.
Right.
No.
You just said it. The NHL's not going to change. So let's accept it for what it is.
Right.
Now, I want to say this.
Listen, good. Glad he's good.
So they did get a suspension, right, in your books? Because people thought
Yes.
that you were advocating for him not to get a suspension, too.
Yeah, I was advocating for Brad Marchand.
You said a number of times that he should get 0 games and that the NHL Department of Player Safety should sit in their shit. He should get 0 games. You said that with your mouth. So I can understand why people think that you think he should have got 0 games.
Absolutely not.
You said he should have
Absolutely
got
not.
0 games.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I
don't know.
said, sit in your shit.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
Give him 0 games.
That is that. Yeah. So give him 0 games, no nuance, nothing
No, but you
attached.
followed up the sit in your shit
Like,
with give him 0
I only
games.
know one language. I only know one language, and I speak it as fluently as possible.
I'm just saying,
And-
Dangle Navy listening, I get where you came from on that issue.
I don't.
Steve
So-
said give him 0 games.
Sorry, I get where you were coming from, and you were wrong.
All right, so I want to read you this because my DMs, as you guys know, can from time to time be a tire fire. But SDPN Memes, who is not an account that actually is officially associated with us, last episode quoted Steve saying Adam is the dad who never pulls over for McDonald's. And they had a little picture of me and then Steve in the back, like little Steve in the back, and driving a car. And McDonald's Canada reached out and said, it's true. I know this because I hear Adam laugh as he drives by. Now, here's a message I got. And that McDonald's Canada, by the way, was very funny. From Caleb, your laugh makes it seem like you have a death ray pointed at the country from space. And I thought that was funny. So I wrote back, gun to the earth, I want ... And he writes back in all caps, Iguodala!
Love it.
And I just want to say, when we talk about going a little bit easier on each other, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Let's all just have a little fun again. It's
Someone-
supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be fun.
Someone added a GIF. I forgot. You are exactly John Mulaney's dad.
Me?
Yeah.
Am I?
Because he does a bit where him and his siblings are in the back of the car and they're like, we want McDonald's. We want McDonald's. And finally, like on a long road trip, finally the dad pulls into a McDonald's and they're like, yeah, we're going to get McDonald's. And he pulls into the drive-thru and orders one black coffee for himself and drives away. That's you.
Oh, shit.
That is absolutely
Is that
you.
me?
Yeah, because it's the one thing no kid wants you to share.
I can imagine having 3 kids. You have moments like that. You would have moments like
God.
that. 1 kid is enough. I could not do it again. It's crazy.
There are days where I'm like, it's impossible there's this amount of noise in my house. Me.
You.
Me.
Imagine how Mrs. Dangle feels. She's got 2 of you running around now.
Like, if she's on the phone and I'm in the middle of a phone call, Leo decides to have a tantrum and Iggy is outside barking to be let in, I'm like, it's impossible this much sound exists on Earth. It's impossible. There's a truck protest outside my house as well. No. Like, it's, no.
And we wonder why you blow up on Twitter.
There's just a lot of noise.
There's just a lot of noise.
What's that t-shirt? I'm sorry I was angry when it was loud.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry I was a bitch when it was loud or something like that. Because some people. So Natalie sent it to me because when things are too loud, she gets agitated, and it's like an actual condition.
Misophonia.
Is that what it is?
I think so. Well, there's different versions
So
of it.
it's just one of those. Maybe you're just a little agitated. There's too much noise.
There are people who, if they hear you chew, will want to punch you in
I
the
think
head.
that's misophonia, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Jax, my co-host on Virgin, her brother and sister-in-law don't eat together because she's got it and she's got it bad. And he has to eat. He has to eat in the kitchen and she eats in the dining room because she can't hear the kids eat, can't hear him eat. Otherwise, she gets really mad, and it's just that
sucks.
It's a workaround. Yeah, it does suck.
Sucks.
Yeah.
I still like wearing like even if I'm wearing earbuds, I like wearing the ones with the cord, so that you can see I'm wearing these in my head. Do not talk to me.
Oh, around the house?
No, not around the house, but like I want people who I can't hear to know I'm not ignoring them. I just
Right.
can't hear them. You know what I mean? So, someone I used to work with. So when you're editing video, you got to have your headphones on, or you drive the rest of the office insane. And he would always try to have a conversation with me, and I got my Can headphones on. And I would be an asshole about it. I'd go, huh? Like, I'd go, what? And you know why I would be rude in that situation? Because in that situation, I was the second person to be rude. I'm wearing headphones. Don't talk to me.
So there's
What
snow
are you
etiquette.
doing?
There's snow etiquette and there's headphone etiquette. Is what
Yes,
you're saying.
headphone etiquette. I'm wearing them. Don't talk to me. Or at least tap me first.
Do you ever-
because then you're 2 sentences in. I haven't heard a fucking thing you said.
I've
Sorry.
experienced that exact same thing. Like, I know
it drives
exactly what
me
you're talking
nuts.
about. Yeah.
Drives me. Now I'm yelly, screamy man.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about something I'm actually passionate about. Holy shit.
Like they come
Yes.
in to just start a chat.
Yeah, especially when your job requires like video editing, especially or audio editing, and your whole thing is just listening to a thing. You can't have a conversation. But so many people think when they're working, they can just have casual conversations. No, my job requires me to pay attention to
it's
one thing.
People that code, right? Like they are like dialed in for 13 hours at a time. Just typing away, listening to really loud techno music, according to the Facebook movie.
The Facebook thing.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, it's a wild time to be alive.
We didn't even talk about Tippett.
We didn't talk about Tippett.
Oh, wow.
Tippett's fired.
I mean, and what problem does that solve? I suppose we'll see.
Yeah, I do know this. Okay, so Tippett's not necessarily as forward thinking as Woodcroft. And he's a bit of a curmudgeon. And just like the Montreal Canadiens, I feel like what Edmonton needs right now is to have fun. Like, if Connor McDavid ever laughed or smiled at the bench, you know your team's dead.
Yes. He looks like he's having the world's most miserable time.
And by the way, what the hell was with the article that called him like an article, like there's like, first off, there's some hits out on his defense, which I get.
I saw that.
I get that.
Yeah.
They're legitimate.
They are legitimate. But there are questions filtering the Edmonton media about leadership and about how Leon might be the guy who's actually the leader in the room.
I threw that out there, did I not? At the beginning of the season?
You did. You don't know. 100% you did. Yes.
They need three things. They need to have some fun.
Sure.
One thing I would be excited about with regards to Woodcroft, he's had so much success with the AHL affiliate.
Mm-hmm.
And what do the Oilers need? To surround McDavid and Draisaitl with talent.
Yes.
If he can get the depth guys playing better, they're a ridiculous team. And number three, and I'm not sure what Woodcroft is going to do about this, they need some saves. So, who knows? Maybe they win every game 7-6. I'm not sure what the coach is supposed to do about that.
When Mike Smith got the Bronx cheer, when he allowed 2 quick goals.
And he gave it back.
Yeah. What a war is going on between the Edmonton fans and their goaltender.
I thought that was a bit unfair, to be honest.
Nah, it's sports.
Oh, it's sports and it's fine. Like, all's fair and hatred in sports or whatever. But, no, like, wasn't that his first game back from injury?
Yep. And two quick goals.
Yeah, but
I get to boo you.
Oh, you get to. Doesn't mean you're nice.
And you don't like it.
No. Listen, if that was his 5th game back, yeah, go
Mike
for it.
Smith is your grandfather. Show him some damn respect.
Okay.
All right? Jesus. And by the way, you're stuck with him because he's here next year too. 2-year deal. 2-year deal. So listen.
Wow.
We're going to wrap it up there. Agent Provocateur, Alan Walsh discussing what it takes to be an agent.
You owe us an Adam's History Corner.
Oh, I do owe us an ad. You know what? I'll do 3 next week. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay, I'll do 3 of them next week.
All right.
3 straight episodes of Adam's History Corner. You're absolutely right, and I'm sorry about
You're
that.
in History Corner debt.
I am in History Corner debt. Agent Provocateur, by the way, the first History Corner is going to be on Grant Fuhr. Okay? Got that ready to go. Second History Corner is going to be on the Harlem Hellfires, which is one of the best nicknames ever, and they were a World War I division that no one talks about.
I don't know.
Awesome
It is.
name.
Oh, it's sick. It's sick. Third one, I haven't quite decided yet. But those were going to be my 2 this week, and for some reason, I forgot to do them. So that's my apologies. We will do them all next
A
week.
lot happened.
A lot happened this week. So Alan Walsh talking about the Coyotes, talking about superstars in the NHL, and of course, how to become an agent part 1. And then CJ and Julian with all the news, Tippett firing, with all the shit that we went through, they're going to talk about. And, CJ's going to have his insider status on that, so that's going to be great. Noxie and Cass, a couple of new episodes out this week. So they're doing just a bang-up job. It's been amazing.
So good. Eilish Forfar.
I know!
This was the first episode where they did news. So they talked about some of the issues that went on this week at the Olympics and in women's hockey. It's really good. Give it a listen.
We didn't
Also,
even get into that. Like,
Adam's
oh,
going to
God.
hate it because it's not 30 minutes, but they went a little over time with Ailish.
I'll have to put in a call.
And by the way, if we didn't adequately cover that, which we didn't, we have Game Over International and we have Noxie and Cass.
Yeah, and Mike Stevens slept in for it, so don't forget. Mike Stevens.
Oh, yeah. What? I
Mike
woke up
Stevens,
to some drama. What happened?
He's supposed to set an alarm on his Google Home, and I guess it didn't work. And then so Steve and I called him this morning. And
Steve and I, Adam's like,
What?
Steve, we're going to bully Mike Stevens.
Yeah, so we called him, and he felt terrible, right? He missed out with Andrew. And so Steve's like, oh, you're tired, huh? Kind of tired? Tired? Imagine how Andrew feels. So I
Hey,
think...
here, don't worry about setting your alarm for next time. There won't be one.
Wow.
So we...
I just decided to go full asshole.
and he felt terrible. So I know he's either going to go on with Omar this weekend or he's going to go on sometime next week. We love Mike Stevens. And Andrew did a bang-up job on his own. And thank you for joining him in the chat. Thank you, chat.
I was
Always
on the
saving
show on Thursday.
Did you like it?
It was a lot of fun. Andrew does a really good job. I chugged coffee at like 5:30 so that I'd be ready for 6. I don't know how he does it every morning. Like I did it one morning. I'm like, okay, that was a lot of fun. I did it, but not every morning.
Did you have
like that.
flashbacks to the morning show?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Did you hate it a lot?
I enjoyed it for the one time, but I'm not going back.
I'm not going to lie to you. The hours suck.
Yeah.
Was there a moment where your alarm went off and you just went, fuck?
That's day 3 or 4.
Yeah,
okay.
Day one day is fine.
There are days where you're so tired and you're actually in a good mood and you laugh.
Yeah. Did it for a year and a half with Adam. Did it one day again with Andrew. I'm done.
Everybody's like, the first time they do it, they're like, oh, I can do this. I can do this.
Mhm.
Talk to me in 2 weeks.
Right.
Welcome to being a new parent.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. That too. So listen, we'll be back on Monday. Great. Have a great weekend. It's going to be nice to have real 3-4 games to talk about every week from now on. How wonderful is that?
I was looking at my calendar yesterday.
You're going to be busy.
Woo! Well, and especially for the Friday shows, they play almost every single Thursday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, they're
Give me a lot
apparently
of
going to
fun.
lift restrictions here soon, so we might be able to actually go see a game.
Woo! I hope they win.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.